Okay, guys. Good morning to everyone who's joining, who's rewatching. I'm going to start very soon with the readings because there's a lot. And also because just in case the internet decides to disconnect, I want to make the most of my time with the readings. So yeah, I'm going to tell you who I have on my list. For today, the topic is what stands in their way. It could be in the way of their evolution, their growth, their happiness, their success. And I have these people on the list. I have Zhang Hao. I have Hobby of BTS J-hope, Ateez Yeosang, Heart to Hearts, actress Kim Yoo Yeon, NCT Dream, Super Junior, actor Seong Joong Ki, Twice Jeongyeon, Triple S, Chungha, and Yoo Yeon Seok. So these are my people for today. And I'm going... I don't do paid readings on the live streams. The readings for the live streams are already arranged. I do have a list, and I don't do paid readings. For private readings or personal readings, you have my email in the description of my videos. But I don't do it on the live stream. Okay, I'm going to start with Zhang Hao. Let's see what stands in his way. And also I'm going to pull an extra card to see how he can overcome this. Let's see. Very hardworking man. Very hardworking man. He got the Ace of Pentacles and he got the Tower. Then he got the Knight of Pentacles, and then as an advice, he got the Star card that it says hope. Hope is hope, destiny, and also the Star card, it definitely shows that he is a star, that he has this, that he was meant to do this, he was meant to be where he is. So, he has to have hope. He has to be, always connected to faith also, to remembering that, something good can come out. I think that honestly, probably in this time in his career, it feels like something is falling apart with the Tower and the Ace of Pentacles. Is like the destruction or the disruption of a foundation of his, or a reality that he thought that it was his reality for a very long time. It was his stability. And there's something that it's like falling apart. Maybe it's a very abrupt change. There's foundations that no longer work for him. There's a lot of things that are changing, and I think that he probably fears that this is going to interfere with his possibilities or with his ability to gain opportunities in the future. Maybe he feels anxious about the future right now because there's something that can no longer be, or there's a reality of his that it's like falling apart. It's like dissembling itself. It's like destroying itself. But because maybe that reality wasn't supposed to last. So when you have the Tower card, it's because it's time. It's like you have to get out of here. This is no longer working for you. So I think that for him, maybe at this time, is like, okay, I feel like my sense of security or what I known for so many years is falling apart, and I don't know. I have a fear about like what will I get opportunities again? Will I get success again? How do I go from here to here? Where do I go to? Who do I go and ask for help? I think that also with all these pentacles, he probably is someone that is very much fixated on work. There's something about him feeling probably safer or feeling better when he has more than one opportunity or when he has options. At this moment, it feels like, there's nothing available, or what is available, it feels like it's not what he wants. So it's part of a transition that he's going through. So it feels chaotic, and it's going to feel chaotic maybe for the next months. But I think that, yeah, this is what is standing in his way: a change in his reality, a change in his environment. Maybe something is changing, something is breaking, something is destroying itself, something is no longer. So I don't think that it's about like endings, but it feels like, when you had been like sustaining something that you knew that eventually was going to break eventually, because it's like, you were not supposed to be in there for a very long time. It's like it was very unstable from the beginning. It's just that he was able to make a good reality of this. He got used to this, he got used to the system, or he got used to, doing his part, so he felt comfortable. I believe he's a Leo. I don't know if this is the same man, but I believe that he's a fire sign. So, seeing the pentacles, I think that there's something, that it feels very earth, very like an earth sign. Like he, when it comes to possibilities or um, job opportunities or even material things, he gets very attached to what he knows. And probably for him, it feels like, oh my God, my world is falling apart because there's changes coming. And I don't do well with changes, even though he has the potential of being successful, of course. But maybe he's like in this breaking point, where he feels like everything is shaking, everything is confusing, everything is like dark, and he doesn't know where to go. Um, but yeah, we have, the Knight of Pentacles. This is efficiency. So see, the Knight of Pentacles for me, it represents him. It represents that he is a man, that he's very efficient, that again, his progress, it takes a while, but he gets there, or he gets what he needs, or he gets the attention that he needs, or he gets the feedback that he needs. He's super hardworking. So I think that he shouldn't worry, because he's very efficient, and definitely he's not going to stay in this tower moment forever, so whatever is standing in his way, this sort of reconstruction or rebuilding of his reality, he's going to keep his eyes on the goal, and probably it's going to take a bit. It's not going to be like now that he just is going to turn realities and he's going to appear someone new. It's going to take a while, because he also needs time to adjust. Even though there's a part of him that he's like, I want to do something about this right now. I think that he should like take it slow. Also, he should honor this sort of earth energy that I feel that it's all about being efficient, and it's all about choosing right, and it's all about, not going back to having this tower moment again, and going for maybe something more trustworthy. But yeah, we have the star, hope. So definitely he will get a better place. He will get a better opportunity. The paths are going to open. It's just that he doesn't have to lose hope. He doesn't have to get, like fixated on like, oh my God, I will never get a deal, or I will never get, because he can get a bit like negative, or he can get a bit, also his mind can get a bit anxious about the future. But with the star, it's like, you have to hope, you have to have faith, you have to remember that, for me, like the star card, usually there's always like, it feels like, for me, it's like when you have like a protective, guardian angel or someone that is watching over you. So somehow what the star is like, the stars are aligning, and don't lose hope because you're going to get better, so don't worry. Okay, I'm going to continue with BTS hobby, with BTS J-hope. See what stands in his way, and then advice about how to get out of this or overcome this. Nice. He got nice cards. I like it. Very introspective. Hobby is feeling very introspective. The Hermit. We have the Nine of Cups. We have the Three of Pentacles, the Three of Wands, sorry, that is just the journey. And Knight of Cups, he got as an advice. Charming. So yeah, hobby has to remain charming, sweet, a gentleman, alluring, he has to remain very open, very compassionate, very like sweet, remain sweet. Don't lose your sweetness. I think that what stands in his way, I think that there's not like a person, I would say, or a situation that gets in his way, but I think that it's certain perceptions that he has about himself, about success, about wanting to have it all. I don't know why when I saw the Hermit and I saw the Nine of Cups, I was like, he probably wishes he could do more individually. He probably, there's something about like, I wanted to do more things for myself. Secretly, there's something that something that he's like, if I focus more on my personal work or in my individual work, I know I would do better, or I would gain this that I want, or this recognition, or this satisfaction, or this feeling of victory. I think that he feels like, probably he feels more like himself nowadays when he's thinking about working on himself or working on his own music or working on individual projects. It's just that he is a bit isolated. Like I feel it like there's a part of hobby that he saves only for himself. And this, I think that is about maybe he thinks that thinking about me feels selfish, so this is why I don't bring it up. I don't talk about my own ambitions, or I don't talk about how good I did in certain things or how I evolved individually because it's going to sound wrong. But I think that probably there's a bit of him that he's like, I wish I could work a bit more on my individual goals. Because there's a trust, there's something about him being like, I could get it right. I could get really good results. And I would be so proud of myself. And I would feel so like he's so he believes in himself. There's something about trusting himself and probably having good experiences, doing solo work or being on his own. So he's like, I is secretly there, because there's something about the Hermit being like, I just don't say it, or I talk about this on my own. But probably, this is maybe what is getting in his way. That with the Hermit, he probably doesn't want to say out loud what he wants for himself. There's a bit of, he's like, but what if people feel like I'm being greedy? Or what if the others feel like, I'm only focusing on myself? But I think that he discovered something within himself, like a truth, that he's like, I'm really good at this. I did really well. And I think that I can do better. I think that I have it, you know. I just need more time to show it. And I think that probably he just prefers to not say anything and just go with the flow, because I think that he's like, I don't want to be selfish. The Nine of Cups, it feels like, someone that is very full of themselves, someone that accomplished a lot, or maybe that they feel really good inside when they win, when they, get something right, when they get something that they consider perfect, or when they get a perfect feedback. He's like, I think I'm good at this. But yeah, what is standing in his way is that he doesn't say it. He probably is becoming again more like a hermit. He doesn't say what he really thinks or what he really needs. So I think that this is what is getting in his way. Or probably he has like an idea, or he has something that he wants to do maybe for the group. But he's like, if I do it, I want credit. Like, there's something about him being like, I don't know if I should say it, because I don't know if they will give me the credit. So it could be that the hobby has the potential of being like a producer also, producer, because he discovered another talent, or he discovered that he's really good at this. So he's like, if I would do this, I think I would do really well. But on the same time, he feels very like, I don't know if I should say it. So I think that what is getting in his way is his own, how he's becoming more like a hermit, and more maybe just becoming quieter and just observing what the others are doing. And there's something about him maybe not wanting to give away what he has, or if he has a piece of work, or if he has something creatively. He feels a bit, maybe he doesn't feel like he can fully trust. So yeah, but at the same time, we have the Three of Wands that says the journey. So I think that, yeah, this is very meaningful for BTS members. They are already on their journey. They are already coming back. So I think that for him, maybe it feels like this is not the right time to talk about what I need, or what I want, or what I think. He's like, no, because we are embarking again on a journey. It's going to be exciting. It's going to take a lot of energy out of me. It's going to be, expansive. It's going to be massive. So I better just keep these thoughts to myself. We will discuss this later. But I don't see him being anxious, nor, hiding something. It's just that there's a bit of him being like, I don't think that I should share this, because I don't know how people will perceive it. And when I say people, I mean people that work with him. Probably he's afraid that they're going to steal his idea. But yeah, the Knight of Cups, charming. I think that, yeah, the way, the advice of the cards is like, he has to remain being his charming, loving self, taking things very like lightly, not getting fixated on things. Just keep it light, keep it funny, keep it moving, keep the energy moving, just smile, and just, show them this part of yourself, charm people, and you will feel better. I think that this is, and also, it's part of him being an artist, also coming back to the stage, or being in the stage with the others. Is like, do your part, be charming, and that's it. Later he would deal with these individual things that he wants to do. There's time. Okay, I'm going to continue with Ateez Yeosang. Ateez Yeosang was standing in his way, and an advice for him to overcome this. he had three major canas, so it feels very personal, very like spiritual, very, it feels deep. It feels deep. Does he have like a strong belief or a system of beliefs that it's very contradictory? We have the devil for Yeosang of Ateez. We have the star. We have the fool, take the leap. And we have the six of wands as an advice, victory. So really good cards, it's just that, yeah. Probably what stands in his way, with the devil and the star, is that I think that he has the potential of being bigger or being more of a star or maybe being better, but there's an attachment. There's something that is holding him back. This is why I'm like, could this be a system of beliefs? Could this be, maybe he's shy, or maybe he has a bit of like, I feel embarrassed doing this, or I feel like, what if my parents saw this? Something like this. It feels like sinful, even. It feels like sinful, like. But there's a part of him that he really wants to. He really wants to go to, I don't want to say the dark side, but he really wants to get immersed, maybe being more sexy, maybe being more dangerous, maybe, I think that he definitely does really well in those, in that energy, somehow like having this very magnetic energy. It's just that he holds himself back at some point and it gets awkward right away. I don't know if there's something that he feels like, okay, till here. I done this, and I think that this was like the sexiest thing I did, and then I will just pull back, and he gets awkward and shy again. It's about shyness. I think that he's shy. He's shy. He's also the star, there's a bit of fear of exposure. As you see, in the star card, there's always a naked lady. So it feels like, what if people see a lot of me? I don't want people to see or to know everything of me. There's a bit of fear of exposure, and also maybe of success even. Like this is why I'm like this. This is very contradictory, because I think that he wants to do well, but he doesn't want to take, he doesn't want to be the most popular member. It's like, no, I'm fine the way I am, but maybe, the others, or maybe the company, or maybe people who give them feedback, they're like, Yeosang, you could do more. And this is why he feels so pressured. He feels pressured. He's like, yeah, I could do more. I kind of want to do more. Like, once he gets in his role, he has this raw masculinity. But I think that there's something about him not wanting to lose his faith. Could it be that he's religious? So he feels like, he doesn't want to give that part of himself. It's like, I don't want to get consumed. He maybe fears a bit, extreme emotions, sexuality, maybe, there's restrictions. He does have restrictions. Maybe this is why I'm like, maybe he's shy, or he has very, strong beliefs about, sexuality, and about, desire, and about, he also doesn't want people to get obsessed with him. He finds it very like, I'm not ready for that. Like I want you to like me, and I want you to, to really appreciate what I do, but please just don't get too close. So yeah, it's very contradictory, because he is a star, and the star is here. So the star is like, well, it's part of your path. You had chosen to be here. Probably has to do that Ateez has this strong energy as a group, or they have this strong concept, or they have these strong performances, and they will probably rise with time. It's going to get deeper and deeper and deeper, or darker and darker and darker. So he's like, am I ready for this? There's a part of him that he's like, yeah, because maybe the fans are giving him a feedback that is good, and they're like, you downgrade, we want to see more. And he's like, yeah, yes, thank you. I'm kind of scared. I'm a bit scared. But yeah, with the full card it says take the leap. The full car is like, just let go of your limitations and just do it already. Just do it already. New year, new you. New concept, new you. New comeback, new you. But even the cars are like, go, Josan, go, go, go. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to do something different. Just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of your own stardom. He's very magnetic, and he probably has a part of him that is very like this. It's very dominant, or it's very sexy. I don't know, or it's very desirable. And probably, he is in this group because he has to learn to, incorporate, integrate this part of himself that he maybe finds it a bit much. But yeah, 6 of Wands, the advice, victory. So yeah, as long as he is true to his nature and to his feelings and to how he feels being on the stage, and just being recognized and being victorious and being in the spotlight, he probably is doing very well, and he's going to keep doing very well. So I think that is more like limited beliefs, or him feeling like he's giving too much of himself. There's maybe energetically it drains him to give this much of himself. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to continue with Heart to Heart, the group, some group, girl group, Hearts to Hearts. Let's see what stands in their way, and then advice for them. Sorry. My allergies. Okay. For Hearts to Hearts, we have the Knight of Wands, we have the Two of Wands, and we have the Page of Swords, curiosity. And then we have, as an advice, the Emperor. The Emperor, and it says strategic. Strategic. A lot of movement. A lot of movement for Heart to Hearts. I don't think that there's something getting in their way, because they're already on the going. Are they having a comeback soon? Are they going on tour? Because it feels like it's now. It feels like they are in a rush. It feels like the opportunity is now. Everything is now. We have to be here. We have to do this. So there's a lot of speed. There's a lot of rush. There's something about we have to go. We have to advance to the next level, or we have to release this other part 2 of this, or there's a lot of things to do, and their energy also feels very excited. I don't think that there's something getting in their way. I think that actually they are very curious about their next step or where they are going. Probably could it be that their next concept is going to be more like I don't want to say like tougher, but could it be that it's going to be more demanding physically, or there's going to be like more competitiveness, like not so sweet, more like, it's going to take a lot of adrenaline of them. This is why I'm thinking about concerts, because it takes a lot of, and also with the two of ones, it's about seeing ahead, seeing the horizon, seeing, okay, what's next for us. So I don't think that there's something in their way. I don't think that there's something in their way. I think that whatever, I don't know, SM finally woke up and they were like, okay, this group, we're going to invest in heart to hearts in this year, and we're going to give them what they need, or we're going to give them something that we haven't yet. So the girls also are like, okay, where are we going? um I think that probably, you know if we think about, about this, if this could be standing in their way, I think that there's something about, like, that it feels very instantaneous. It feels like, okay, now you have to go here. Okay, now you have to move. Okay, now you run. Okay, now you rush. Now is the moment, and let's go, let's go, let's go. So probably it feels like, wow, you just woke us up to the news that we are going to have all these activities, and we're going to go to all these cities, and we're going to do all of this. So it requires a lot of energy from them, and because they are very young, with the page of swords curiosity, there's something about them. They are very young. They also are very, excited about the idea of something new, or, maybe having a new goal. And they are so passionate also about this. It's just that it feels like, why the rush? Why it has to be like this? But well, it's a sim, so it's these things. It's just a sim. That's the explanation. So maybe, the girls will have a very active year, and they will have to, save their energy for this, get used to this, adapt to this unpredictability, because it's like, okay, somehow it's like it has to be now, or it has to be in the next 6 months. Everything seems in a rush. So the girls, I think that yeah, they will probably open a new path for them, or a new possibility for them. Somehow ideas are flowing about them. Maybe they want to, want the girls to be promoted somewhere else, in another country, or in another, you know, another place, very different, another market, even. So it feels very passionate. So I think that the girls will be so busy, or they are already on their way. So it feels like, yeah, we don't have time to think what's standing in our way. So I think that maybe, what is standing in their way is that, when it's passionate, or when the opportunity arrives, it feels like a rush of energy. But maybe as soon as it comes, it also is as soon as it goes away. It feels like this very momentaneous energy, like it has to be now, and you guys have to take it, because then, once we focus on another group, it's going to be gone. So it feels like it has to be like this. It has to be, the opportunity has to be taken like this. The progress for them, it has to be taken like this. Like, okay, they told us that it's our moment now, so we have to get going. We don't ask questions. We just go. We just follow. Um, and again, we have the emperor. Again, we have wands, we have car of fire, and we have the emperor, that is a very Aries energy, also that is strategic. So maybe, whoever is running them is a man, is a very powerful man, um, someone that is very strategic, or someone that is very unpredictable, like this, like, okay, get the girls, let's go. And he is probably very authoritarian, or he's very strategic, like this, or, once he gets like inspired, he does, these crazy movements, or trips, or travel, or, concerts, or fan signs, I don't know, very unexpected, but he's strategic as well. So it's all about conquering a market. So maybe he's like in a rush because he wants to conquer a market with the girls. So he's the one in charge. And somehow, this man has been in charge for a very long time. So the girls have to follow him. the advice is that they have to follow the emperor. What the emperor says, they have to do it. The way he set the rules is how the girls have to manage. So it's all about what he wants. But I think that they will be great. Maybe he's changing, like strategies for them. But yeah. Okay, I'm going to continue with the actress Kim Yoo-yeon. Kim Yoo-yeon. Actress Kim Yoo-yeon. What's standing in her way? And an advice. She got the Two of Cups twice. Two of Cups twice. Very sweet girl. Very sweet. Very considerate. It's giving me water energy. She's very sweet, but not not emotional. Like I'm all over the place. No, it's more like she actually she preserves her emotional maturity, or she's like, this is also what I work with. Probably she's very sensitive, or this is part of her artistic side, because it comes out twice. So it's sort of giving me like this is part of the way she handles herself when it comes to her activities or her career, and also the way how she handles herself in the real life. So it seems like she has a lot of love to give. So she's very abundant like this. She's very deep like this. Very sensitive. Queen of Cups. Eight of Pentacles. We have the Two of Wands that is says planning. So definitely she's planning something. Is she going to come back soon? Queen of Cups that is says calm and harmony. So see, she is like, she has a lot of potential. She has a lot to give. Her cups are full, and she's very, she takes care a lot of her potentials as well. Probably she's very loved as well. I think that there's like a huge, like, she's like, I could even give advice to others about how to remain, calm and in harmony, because I have been doing this for a very long time. So I just don't get bothered, or I don't get all like crazy when things don't go the way I want to. Also, she's very hardworking, very hardworking. What stands in her way? The Queen of Cups and the Eight of Pentacles. It's giving me Virgo vibes. A mix of Virgo and Pisces. That I think that probably what stands in her way is that she puts a lot of herself in her projects. That she's a perfectionist, but at the same time, I think that the cards are like, sometimes she does too much. Sometimes she gets involved a lot. She cares a lot, and that's something that, it has the potential of people taking advantage of this, of her getting very emotionally invested, maybe in the roles, maybe in the production, maybe in getting certain things right, that you are like, that's not your role. This is supposed to be done by others, or this is supposed to be perfectionated by others, or other people are supposed to get their tools or get their their talents. I don't know, but you are a queen. You are a queen. You are mature. Just like, don't forget about yourself. But I think that she is very giving like this. She's very sweet like this. She's very generous. So it's really hard for her to detach. It's really hard for her to look the other way and being like, okay, yes, I will just go home, and then you guys let me know when I have to come back. I think that she gets very emotionally attached, and probably the less roles that she had or she's going to be having, they're very emotional as well. They require a lot of emotional regulation, training, her working on herself, as a woman, getting in the skin of very complex female characters, maybe, or women that are very inspiring. Like somehow they're making her feel more sensitive, but also, now that we're talking about, like, today is Women's Day here internationally. I believe it is as well, March the 8th. But I think that she embodies, this sort of femininity, and she's never going to lose her manners, her sweetness, the way she cares for others. It's just that I think that sometimes she does a lot, or maybe people take advantage of how perfectionist she is, or how of a giver she is. She does give a lot, and I think that maybe that's a bit draining. When you are, and also there's something, with the Queen of Cups, that probably people, take for granted. How mature she is for her age. Maybe I don't know how old she is, but it feels like people are like, well, she has experience, she got this, she can master this. And no, sometimes, a Queen of Cups also needs, their counterpart, or she also needs the other part to support her as well. I think that she's been put somehow in this sort of pedestal where she is like the mature one, or she's like the one that knows, or she's the one that has experience. So somehow they put extra work on her because of this. And I think that, she should be able to relax a bit and just let the other professionals do their part as well, because she's very generous like this. If you ask her to do extra, or, if you ask her for an advice, she's going to give you very technical advices, or she's really knowledgeable like this, and she's always learning something new. So she is someone that possesses a lot of talents, a lot of, she's very profound like that. But at the same time, I'm like, maybe she's working a lot, or I think that she can relax a bit. She can maybe. I think that there's something about her wanting to give to community, or wanting to give up to others. So maybe she could do this from another perspective, maybe charity or something that can make her feel like, okay, I'm doing my part, and I love this, because she has a lot to give, definitely. Yeah, Two of Wands, planning. See, there's a lot of planning. Probably people already speculating about her. What is your next move? Probably she's also in talks about something, a new project, because I feel like she doesn't stop working. But yeah, at the same time, it's all work, 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 and she's very sensitive. So I would advise her to sorry, to relax a bit about work. um, Queen of Cups, calm harmony. See, the Queen of Cups is also, asking her again, like, the Queen of Cups is like, hello, you need to nurture me too, acknowledge me too. I'm sensitive. I need time. I need harmony. I need love. I need beautiful things, beautiful moments. Take a look at me. Take a look at that sensitive side. Give to yourself what you give to others. So don't forget about this Queen of Cups. And don't forget that this Queen of Cups, she also gets tired. She also gets, drained, energetically, emotionally. So please, keep the cup full. Give her calm moments. Let her rest. Give her moments of privacy. Give her moments of retrospection. It's not just work, work, work. Also, probably she's thinking about relationships. I don't see anything about relationships in here, but probably she's thinking about marriage and family, because the Queen of Cups is also very abundant, is emotionally, and maybe she has a lot of love to give, like I said. So maybe, thinking about getting married and having a family could be a nice project for her. Okay, I'm going to continue with NCT Dream. Let's see what stands in their way. And then advice for them. Is everything okay in NCT Dream? I think that there's something about their dynamic being a bit chaotic at the moment. Three of Cups, the Judgment, the Moon, shadow work. And as an advice, we have the Nine of Wands that it says discipline in adversity. Discipline in adversity. Are they getting criticism online? I think that people criticize their their relationship with each other. There's something about people not believing that they really like each other, like, that there's a relationship like this, that there's emotions, that there's sentiment, that they really care for each other. I think that that's what's standing in their way. And also, I think that probably, I think that they do care for each other. It's just that probably this group in particular, they're not the most emotional people. They're not like going to go to the member and be like, I love you, even though they had been together forever. But there's something about, with the Judgment card, it seems like they were also somehow raised or brought up, or they came together in an environment that was full of judgment, is full of judgment, is full of criticism, is full of, okay, one goes up and the other goes down. It feels like a very toxic environment. So I think that, and probably there's something about some members triggering each other's shadow, with the Moon card. It's like, oh, you said this about me, or you said this, and it feels like, when you meet that person that says or does something that it is like, like a dart to your heart. You're like, oh, you got me with that comment, something like this. I think that that's what stands in their way, that, probably they are harsh on each other because they were, I want to say, they were raised. They were educated like this. They were educated in a system that consists on you judging each other. Because if you judge the other, that means that, or if you find a flaw in the others, that means that you are safe. So it feels toxic, it feels chaotic, but I think that probably that's what people see. People are like, yeah, you say that you had trained together for years, but somehow I see a bit of like, that you are not that close. It's just that their dynamic, is full of judgment. People, I think that they cannot be, they cannot build a real connection, because there's always someone or something that comes from the external part of their lives, or other people that come with a lot of judgment. So they feel like on survival mode. They feel like, okay, if I don't say something about this person is going to say something about me. So, it's very tough. It's very tough. It feels like when you have siblings, and the parents are all about, pitting the children, or the children against each other, like, okay, you want to be my favorite, okay, but you have to, you have to win this. There only can be one winner here. So I think that this is what destroys their ability to get more connected emotionally. I think that the friendship, the foundation there is because there's a lot of sensitivity, but also there's a lot of sensitivity to criticism. It's like, I don't know if also the group as a whole, they get a lot of judgment from the grown-ups, from the adults, always pressing on them, always maybe comparing them, or maybe, just being really harsh. So it's really hard to trust or to feel positive when, you always have someone that is like, being very destructive. It's like, you have to wake up, you have to be better, the others are doing better, why aren't you? It feels very like this. Yeah, because with the moon shadow work, and also, like I said, it probably there's one member that says something to the other that is just, it gets you because there's a lot of shadow work to do. Probably there's certain members that they are like opposites. So it seems like what the other points out in you is what you're pointing out on them, and it triggers a certain like resistances, like, I don't like you because you said this of me. So it feels like there's a lot of like susceptibility, but it's because they're in survival mode. They're always being judged. So you cannot build foundation of trust like this. The Nine of Wands, discipline in adversity. So yeah, I think that, yeah, it's always going to feel heavy. It's always going to feel, like for them, it's harder, to achieve this sort of dynamic that maybe people expect. Maybe you do see it with two people, or you do see it with one member and another. But it's really hard to see them all, integrated, because it seems like there's always one that is exposed, like, oh, you're not doing that well, we are all doing our best, but we think that you're not. So there's always someone that is being left out, someone that is struggling, someone that is always, like the Nine of Wands, someone that always has to, is the one that always gets like, you have to do better, you better do, I mean, look at your teammates, they are doing great, what is going on with you? It feels like this. But I think that they will, also, it could be that they're going to start enlisting soon, because there's something about this as well. There's and they know that there's going to be like a sort of like separation of certain members, and I think that they are like, yes, please, because things feel very heavy for them. They feel the weight on their shoulders all the time. They are hyper vigilant, um, and they are not ready for that. They are, and it's really sad, because I think that also there's no one that is too sweet to them. No, it's just they are treated like machines. Like, how it is, how this is, so you have to do better. So it's really tough. It's really tough. Okay, I'm going to continue with Super Junior. Mm. Are they still a group, Super Junior? I mean, I don't see a break, but are they still together, Super Junior? We have the Nine of Swords. We have the Moon, High Priestess, Six of Pentacles, generosity. Mm, my God. There's a lot of members that are not okay mentally. A lot of depression, anxiety, a lot of mental health issues. Mm-mm-mm. No. Yeah, I think that what stands in their way, it's honestly like there's a lot of fears. There's like a lot of uncertainty also. They don't know, about their future. There's certain people that probably they made certain mistakes or they made certain decisions that it sort of haunts them. It haunts them personally, so it sort of affects the group. Because with the High Priestess, intuition is the card. There's a lot of things being unsaid among the members, but you're like, yeah, we know. Somehow the group is very aware because, yeah, they had been together for a very long time. So it's like, yeah, we know you are not doing really well or that you're not telling us the whole truth. But I think that this is also a group that is full of suspicion. Like even the members um, suspect each other, and probably what stands in their way, and probably also the audience, also what the audience is like, we don't trust you guys. Like we think that there's a lot of things that you are keeping hidden, or that you are not very clear about. You never given like a proper answer. You never explain to us why this member is no longer here and why the other is on hiatus. Like it feels like there's also a lot of like no communication. Like probably, someone been sending hiatus and you'll be like, okay, but what happened? And no one said anything. And then the member comes back and you're like, yeah, but aren't you going to talk about this? What happened? Um, so I think that these are very confusing times for them. These are very confusing times. There's a lot of worries. And when I say worries, I don't think that it's about the group. I think that they worry about themselves individually. So it's either that some of them are involved in certain things like arrangements, or maybe they bought a house or something like this and they are running out of money, or they don't have the money, or they got scammed. I don't know why I want to say, but there's a lot of loss of money. So they worry about this. Probably there's something about them. If they look back, they were like, when they were at their peak, there's something about them be like, we thought we were going to be, always at this level of, doing really well in life. And somehow they see each other now and they're like, we haven't accomplished anything. Or what I had accomplished with you guys, I lost it. So there's a lot of like anxiety, there's a lot of worries. They don't see the future as well. They don't see it. They see it very confusing. They are like, probably also the company doesn't know what to do with them, because there's a lot of things hidden also. There's a lot of things that are not being said, but you're like, I kind of suspect that this is going on with you. So, and I don't see any specific member. I think that it could be, you know, everyone's one or two or three, but it feels very, and also they don't talk to each other. They don't talk to each other about what is going on. There's like a silence, like they are not really honest with each other. they had the opportunity, to get together, maybe have an honest conversation about what each of them is going through. But probably there's one of two that they just take over the conversation, and everything turns into jokes. Everything is funny, like, oh, ha, 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 ha. Maybe there's alcohol, and everything is like a party, a celebration. But it feels like it's not over. It feels like there's certain businesses, or there's a certain discussions or certain conversations that need to be had, that they're not discussed. And there's something about them also not being clear. Could it be that this sort of group lacks earth signs? Because it feels like, no one talks about, the elephant in the room. Like, there's no one that has like this sharp mind that is like, okay, let's talk about this because it's making me uncomfortable. No, no, there's a lot of shh, there's a lot of shh, we don't talk about this, you know. So I think that, yeah, this is what is getting in their way. It feels awkward. It feels tense. It feels like it's not authentic at all. They're not being honest with each other, and they're not being authentic. Um, and yeah, Six of Pentacles, generosity. I think that honestly, yeah, the Six of Pentacles as an advice, I think that it literally the cards of the keyword of generosity is about maybe that they fear that the other person is not going to understand, that they are not going to be understanding about what the other is going through. So maybe there's an element of selfishness, that each one of them is like thinking about their own issues or problems. And they're like, well, I have issues too, and my issues are bigger than you. And somehow it's like, okay, conversation over. But the Six of Pentacles is like, you guys can reach, or you must actually. The advice is that you get to a place where each one of you gets very honest and sincere, and just are very empathic towards what the other is doing, and maybe you guys can help each other. But this is not for the group and like, oh, because we have to go back to stage. No, it's more about like, be generous with each other. You guys have been together for so many years. Like, this is the moment. How you can fix all this confusion, all this silence, is for you to be generous with each other. Don't judge. Don't point fingers. Don't make excuses. Just listen. Just listen and accept. Accept what the other is bringing to the conversation, their truth, their reality. Take it. Take it. Be present. Be present with them. Be generous. They are your teammates. They are not strangers. They probably are going through a lot. So there has to be room for understanding. There has to be room for, like, okay, I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to wait. When it's your turn, I'm going to give you the space so you can also open up, because we are a team. We support each other. But I think that they forgot a long time ago that they must support each other. That is a give and take. The Six of Pentacles is about give and take. Okay, I give you kindness. I give you, empathy. You give it back. This is not about money. This is not, but this is about retribution, reciprocity. This group needs to be reciprocate towards each other, because there's something going on. And they are not listening to each other. Probably they get together, they talk about superficial stuff, and then they go home. Okay, I'm going to continue with actor Seong Joong Ki. was standing in his way, and then advice. Yeah, his love life definitely is getting in his way. His love life. Also, probably he's getting a hard time just being nice to people. I don't know why I want to say this, but Knight of Cups, Ten of Wands, the Queen of Wands practicality, not Queen of Wands, Queen of Pentacles practicality, Seven of Cups illusion. Yeah, I think that yes, if there's something about he is like he doesn't feel like he can go back to be this like he's struggling with maybe having a romantic role again. I don't know if this actor, if Seong Joong Ki, because I don't follow him like that, but does he always have these roles of romance, like he is the protagonist and he's the lover, or he's like the romantic interest of the protagonist and he's like this lover boy, it's giving me lover, I'm a lover, and I seduce you with my performances, and I'm the protagonist, and I'm a lover, and I fall in love, and I process all these emotions and intensity to the camera or with with my co-star. I show these passionate scenes, and now he's like, I'm having a really hard time being romantic on camera. And probably he's not getting neither those roles, those roles of romance. He probably is not getting those. And if he does, he struggles so much with connecting. I think that he doesn't see himself as, playing someone's romantic interest. He finds it very difficult. He finds it like, I will have to put my all to somehow pretend that I'm in love with this person when I'm actually, I know he's married. I don't know if this is the same man that I'm talking about, but well, there's something about him being like, I cannot offer my cup anymore. My cup is empty. My emotions are not here. I'm not for the screen. And if there's a bit like probably yes, what stands in his way is that probably he doesn't want to do those cheesy comedies, romantic comedies anymore, or he doesn't want to do like this Romeo kind of guy. He doesn't want to do that. He's like, I'm not there anymore. I don't feel like I can pull it off, and if he tries, it sounds or it feels like almost like is too pushed, or like there's a lot of there's something about his emotions being gone once he's working. He cannot do that, the charming, sweet, understanding guy that he gets all sensitive when he sees you. He's like, I don't have it in me anymore. I cannot do this. My emotional world just cannot process this. I cannot give you this of me. And maybe that's the only thing it's available, or he just tries and it's just, it just goes really bad. But he's closed off emotionally. This is why I'm like, he does have certain issues with showing vulnerability also. I don't know if he went through something, if he's a bit traumatized by the cameras or by the attention or by the media. I don't know, but I feel like he doesn't want to be this charming anymore. He doesn't want to do it because he feels threatened. He's like, people are going to judge me anyway. And I don't know. There's something about him feeling exposed when it comes to his romantic life, maybe. people judging him maybe because he's married or because he had relationships. So it seems like for him, it's associated being the romantic male lead to choosing love as a regular man is like somehow a traumatic experience for him. This is why he struggles so much. Maybe he can come off a bit as cold and detached, and people were like, oh, he used to be so sweet to the fans, and now he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to do that. He can talk to you about things, but he just doesn't want to do fan service. He doesn't want fan signs. He's like, I cannot pretend. I cannot show my emotions anymore. I'm a bit like block. He's a bit overwhelmed also. He's a bit emotionally, he's overwhelmed. Maybe also his relationship, it takes a lot of him emotionally, and he feels like, I'm carrying with a lot, maybe having a family. I do have the Queen of Pentacles in here, that this could be the wife, practicality also. I think that she probably is like, she demands a certain structure in their life. Also, as a Queen of Pentacles, maybe she's very much on the material things. She's like, okay, we want to have this stability for the children, or we want the children to have this, or we want a relationship to have this. She's very practical, or she's very focused on the practical things. And there's a part of him that he feels like he cannot come back. Maybe she's like, you have to go to work because we need the money. And he's like, I don't know if I will be received well, or I don't know if what I'm going to receive is going to be, he has a certain like blockage. There's something about him. It's not about him not getting opportunities. It's about him somehow being a bit like on the defensive about like, I have to go on a set again. I have to build this sort of chemistry with someone else. I don't know if I can do this. So probably he's very loyal, maybe because he's a family man now, so he feels a bit weird, like, okay, I have to play the role of a lover, a careless lover, and he's like, well, I'm married and I have children. So emotionally, it feels like, my emotionality is sort of like worn out. It's already with my family. Seven of Cups, illusion. Yeah, I think that he should, he's a bit stiff. There's something about his energy that it feels like it's not flowing. It's not flowing at all. His artistic side is not flowing. It's definitely affected because he feels under a lot of pressure. He feels worn out. Maybe his family life, like I said, is very demanding. So, so the Seven of Cups, the Seven of Cups illusion is this. Now that we're in Pisces, it's about him flexing, not flexing, him relaxing a bit, and sort of start seeing your options. You have options. There's options for him. There's options for him. Definitely, there's options. It's just that he cannot see the bigger picture. He feels like a martyr. Like he feels like, no, because, and somehow he blames his fame. There's something about him blaming, oh, because I used to play these roles, now things are difficult and I cannot do them anymore. And it's like, what are you talking about? He's very cynic also, or maybe he gets a bit on the pessimistic kind of vibe or mentality, that he is not seeing that there's possibilities and that it's okay, that he can go back to the emotional roles. He's really good, with connecting with the audience about emotions or sensitivity or vulnerability. It's just that, maybe it can start, him choosing a small role, like a support role for another person, and him being like this sort of mentor or this person that helps the protagonist, someone's father. I don't know. I think that he could, reinsert himself slowly, in little projects that they are all about, because he somehow also needs to connect with the illusion again of, like, oh, I cannot wait to work again on this project, and not so much think about like people are going to hate me. I think that he's just not seeing the glass half full. he's been a bit negative. Okay, let's continue with Twice Jeongyeon. Let's see for her what stands in her way. Oh. And advice for her. Always is the Empress twice. The Empress twice. And now that we're talking about Twice member, but yeah, she got the Empress twice. Yeah, she got the Death card also. So the theme here is embracing femininity. Is embracing femininity, embracing beauty in all sizes, shapes, and forms, and images. I know that probably it must be difficult to do this in the industry and in the culture that she is in. It must be, really difficult because, for us, maybe that we are more international, more on, we know other cultures, it's easier for us to be like, well, beauty has different shapes and forms and color skins, skin colors, I mean, and different hair types, and I think that maybe for someone like her, there's only one standard and it's very tough. But I think that there's I don't know, I think that there's a potential of her becoming a sort of symbol of this, that bodies change, that bodies transform, that yes, you can go get surgery, but there's certain conditions, especially when it comes to health conditions, that you cannot help the secondary effects, because health is a priority. You have to get better. So it's not about like, okay, what is going to make you look good. It's more about like, this is a risky situation, so you have to take this medication. And yeah, it doesn't have good side effects, but it's going to help you, try to live a normal life, because you have to move and you cannot move because you're in pain. So, she has the Empress and the Death card. And then she got, the Page of Pentacles that it says skill development. And then we have the Empress that it says abundance. Abundance. So, and if you notice, the Empress is always voluptuous. It's always a voluptuous woman. It's never like a skinny person, because, abundance, it's about being voluptuous, but I think that these two cards are very, interesting. And I think that, since she is a Scorpio, it sort of makes sense, that Death card is like always in her reading, somehow reminding her that nothing lasts forever. You can change your image. Now you look like this, but maybe, 6 months from now, you're going to look different. People are not going to recognize you. They're going to think that you're someone else. This is the power of a Scorpio energy or a Scorpio placements, that you always go through transformation. Nothing stays the same in you. And it can be dramatic, yeah, because we are talking about beauty. We are talking about, that you make money because of your appearance, or you work with your appearance. So it's also about, you receiving recognition, or you being out there, or you being recognized for a certain kind of style and beauty that is supposed to always, with the Empress, is supposed to always be somehow steady or like stable. But the Death card is like, you will go through changes, you will go through changes in your body. You will change. you will change a lot. So this is sort of about acceptance of that. Yeah, this could be what stands in her way, but it's also about like, okay, how can we change the perception of what you're going through into something beautiful? Because the Empress and the Death card is a very powerful combination. It's also about, letting go of the superficial. It's like she has acquired a more kind of deepness, or she's going to, learn something different that is not only attached to the way I look, or how pretty I am, or how my body looks today, or how much weight I lost. No, it's all about you changing your perception, or changing people's perception even of what beauty is, or what ideal beauty is, or what abundance is, or what success is. So it's about transformation of this. It usually happens to certain, you know, um, women that are Scorpios. Not just about weight. It's also about, maybe they have. I know it because of my mom. She had in her 30s, she had an accident in her leg, and then she had a disability of this. So you somehow have to, you knew life in a certain way. You knew that you looked a certain way, but then life happened and that changed. And you needed to adjust your reality to this. But also it gives you the possibility to see beauty, growth, expansion differently. Because pretty faces, they debut every day. Like beautiful people, you will see beautiful idols, you will see them come and go. But you, with this, you can transform. And also we have the card of the Page of Pentacles, skill development. So it's all about like, okay, you can look a certain way, or you can, change the way femininity is for you and for others, but you also can develop a new skill. Don't let your image or the transformation in your image change your process of learning. You can acquire a new talent. You can shine in other aspects. You can go and explore other options. You can grow. You can find another kind of growth somewhere else that is not so much about like, how do I look, if I'm pretty or not. No, it's more about you wanting to keep working. Keep investing in yourself. Keep investing in your development, in your skills, in your ability. Get to know yourself deeply. Don't let the image stop you. Keep studying, keep working, keep nurturing yourself with knowledge, and possibilities will come. Once you stop obsessing for the external part that you cannot change. The Empress again, abundance. This is the advice. It's about, redefine what abundance is, what beauty is, what femininity is, what, someone successful looks like. There's plenty of people in the industry that are not perfect, or are not, the standard, but they are really good at other things. And I think that for someone like Jeongyeon, this is the advice. You are abundant. There's a lot of possibilities coming for her. And she also is going to change. There's something about her body. If people are like, oh, well, is she going to lose weight, or is she going to come back? She's not going to come back to be the old 17, 18-year-old Jeongyeon. Of course not. She's not going, and people have this illusion like one day she's going to go on the stage and look just like the Jeongyeon of, when she was 18. And no, she's a woman now. But she's going to change. She's probably going to look like hotter or more beautiful or different. And you're going to be like, wow, a couple of years ago she had this and now she looks like another person. Yes. That's the death effect for you. That's the death effect. That's why you don't joke about people's bodies and images, especially with a Scorpio, because they always change. So, don't better put a label on them because they change. They change and they can get, they can come back, you know, they can come back harder and harder and harder and more attractive and being like this thing that you're like, what is this? Is this a new person? Yes, it is a new person. Yes, it is a new person. But she doesn't forget what you said of her. So watch out, you haters. Because, it can happen to all of us. The body changes. What stays the same is one person's essence, and one person's soul. Okay, I'm going to continue with triple S. The group, triple S. Okay. What stands in their way? We have the High Priestess, and we have the Nine of Wands. And then we have the Page of Pentacles, skill development. And then we have the Six of Swords, that says movement. Is this group new? Because there's something about them, just really struggling or just really going through a lot of challenges. Really is maybe their system of training and everything is really hard. It's really tough. But they don't say anything about this. They, with the High Priestess, there's a lot of silence about their hardships. There's a lot of silence. But they really are struggling. They really are struggling. Yeah. There's a lot of, it's really tough for them. It's really tough. And I think that that's what's standing in their way. Probably that if they are like a new group, they don't have the authority or the permission or, how that industry is. They cannot, they cannot say, because people, I think that sometimes this is what happens, that, people sometimes they take for granted, how much the idol or how much the trainee had done to be where they are today. They think like, oh, I didn't like this song, but you don't know, how much they have been working, on details and it feels like for them it's a lot of responsibility and probably they don't have the proper help. They don't have the assistance. They don't have, it feels like everything they battle it up inside themselves. They're like, just very silent, observant. They listen to the feedback and they don't respond back. They're like, okay. They're also acquiring knowledge, about like, okay, the industry is like this. Or maybe the initial years are going to feel like this. Because, I'm asking this because I have also the Page of Pentacles that is a skill development. So the page, again, it feels like they are new. Like it feels like there's still a lot of skills of theirs to be developed. There's room for development and probably they are working on this, but it feels like, the beginning stages and probably, what is getting in their way is that they are not vocal about how challenging it is, and about how tough it is. It's really demanding. They probably, I don't know if they're keeping like a very, positive attitude about things, or maybe when they talk to fans, they are very energetic, or they are very, just sweet, or, very entertaining. and they try to, get the audience excited for things, and they try to be positive. They try to be, polite. Also, there's something about them, just knowing, their what they can do and what they cannot do. They're very much coached, I would say. There's something about them. They have probably like a list of what they can and cannot say. This is why I'm asking if this is like a rookie, because it feels like there's a lot of like, you know, um, um, like, don't say that, don't do that, don't move like this. There's a lot of like manipulation. There's a lot of, not manipulation. I think that this is the standard treatment for girls. And there's like, okay, you have to practice more, you have to do more. Very, very like authoritarian, I would say. But they're sweet girls. They're also very wise. They understand that this is what they sign up for. It's just that, yeah, it feels very tough. It feels like, they never get to a point of, we are really getting better. I think that they are in a place where they are there. They are, their presence is here. They are in the starting line, but progress I don't see. But they are working really hard. But yeah, the advice actually for them, Six of Swords, it says movement. See, there's movement for them in the near future. I think that the key is for them to keep advancing. Yeah, it's tough today, or maybe you have these challenges. This is what is getting in your way, that maybe, they're not allowed to express themselves fully. There's a lot of secrecy, or there's a lot of coaching in what they have to say or what they're allowed to say or not. So it feels like that also, mess up a bit, their, you know, their bodies or their reality, because they cannot be honest about things. But the Six of Swords is like, go, just keep moving. As long as you guys keep moving, you're going to be okay. Also, the Six of Swords is the internet. So if they maybe can promote better on the internet, or maybe create like a sort of channel, or be more on these messages in these platforms that the idols use, so they can connect more. I think that the internet technology is the future. They have to make good use of this. This is the key for them to keep moving. Okay. I'm going to read for Chungha, the soloist. What's standing in her way? Okay, what's standing in her way? We have the Page of Pentacles. We have the Eight of Wands. Is she going to release something soon? The Sun card, clarity. And then we have the Tower as an advice. That is says ruin. The Tower. Again, why this one? Because I feel that she's very hardworking. Again, the Page of Pentacles, she's studying, she's practicing. But why is she still a page? Why is she still a page? Why is she still in the, the apprentices kind of energy? Like, I know that she is a fast learner. There's something about her. Yeah, she does create, or she's like the one, but she is very humble. I think that there's something. I know Chungha's work. So there's something about being like, okay, yeah, I know that probably she's trying to do something new. So it feels like she's learning in the process. But also she's like a huge star. We have the sun card in here, clarity. So she has like a huge presence. So I wonder why her energy feels very much like amateur. It could be the company that she's under or something like this. It feels like it's not fully developed. Um, but she's very hardworking. She's always like thinking about details. I think that she's going to launch something very soon. But this is the thing, if they think about what stands in her way, I feel like she's going to release something that is not going to remain very much in people's minds. Because I feel like there's maybe she's like, okay, we have to release this now, or someone tells her, you have to release this now, because yeah, it's been a while, so give us something or release this now. Um, and I think that maybe people just like it comes and goes. When it comes, people are like, oh, this is great, but then it just vanishes. Then it feels very instantaneous. It feels very instantaneous. And I wonder if she tried to do this sort of like also like what everyone is doing today, that it feels like this under 3 minute song, this TikTok kind of challenges song. And it feels very like light and fast and exciting, but an exciting sound, but just it just doesn't reach to people. It doesn't stick in their mind like the other songs of hers. This is why I'm like, maybe she's trying to, do what is popular today, but it's not that good. It's not that it's good. It's just it's not impactful. It doesn't impact. It's like fast food. It's like you consume it and then you're done and you move on to another group or another people. And I think that she knows this because we have the sun card, clarity. So she knows that maybe everything has been feeling like something very fast, like maybe the industry feels very like this, like you can do well, and that's it. um yeah, I think that what is, and maybe this is what is getting in her way, is that probably she shouldn't follow what the others are doing, or she shouldn't follow the trends, because I think that she is actually like she's trying to learn, what kids today like, or what the music today is so like what people like today. And this is why it feels like she's like this page, because she's studying, she's learning, she's acquiring new knowledge, but it's like you're Chungha. Like, why are you doing this? Like, you don't need to start over. Like, you don't need to go and study. You're a queen, and I think that somehow maybe because people want her to release something, or maybe the people that manages her is like, it has to be now. Give us something. She is like, she gives something that is not fully prepared or is not fully arranged. Yeah, because the advice is the tower, and it says ruin. The tower is like, you have to sort of get rid of the old foundations. Something is shaking in her, reality, or maybe in the results that she's getting lately. That it shows you that this is not the way for you, that you have to rebuild yourself. You have to embrace chaos, embrace uncertainty, and start over. Build from zero, build from scratch. Don't use old formulas or old, not old, but maybe old and new. Like, don't use what you already know how they're doing this. You start something new completely. Start something that speaks about yourself, about your style, about your history, about your legacy, but give it like a new spin. But she has to get rid of all foundations. She has to get rid of this. It's not about going back to study. It's more like, okay, I have to create something new from scratch, you know No, nothing of like, I'm going to look at my previous work. No, just start, if you want to start, instead of studying what is trending, study yourself, and take your time, because it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be chaotic. It's like, sort of a very chaotic experience. It's very scary also for an artist, for you to tell them, okay, get rid of all your discography and just start from zero, start from nothing. And they're like, but what do I do? Study yourself. What do you want to do with your music? But maybe someone is pressuring her definitely to deliver something. So it's a business. So yeah. Okay, the last one that I have on my list. I'm rushing and I didn't see the comments, guys, because I'm trying to get the readings before the internet disconnects or something happens. This is why I'm doing the readings first and the ranting later. Okay. Going to read for Yoo Yeon Seok, what stands in his way. Definitely, I'm reading for an Aries man, definitely, because, he's so always, every time I read for him, there's a lot of energy. Like, this guy cannot sit still, I swear. He's always thinking about something new to do. Ace of Wands, we have the Hierophant, we have the Nine of Wands that says resilience, and we have the Knight of Swords that says bravery. What is standing in his way is his company. Is he under a company? Is he still under a starship? Is his company. Or if it's not his company, is another business that he has. Because I see him just very inspired to create businesses, to create institutions, I must say, not just businesses. I think that maybe he wants to create an institution, or he wants to create like an institute, or I don't think that it's only about like, a place where you serve drinks or a restaurant. I think that it's like it's something more important. It's like, something more luxurious, probably, something just very impactful or important for society, for his society, or for his neighborhood, or for his people, or for the community, where he wants to lead. He wants to be the head, the director, the head. So he's very ambitious. He's very ambitious. And he probably has been chasing this for a very long time, and it doesn't go well. It doesn't go well. He's a bit like obsessed with, like, I don't know if he wants to build his own company, because like I said, if this is a starship, I definitely think that he has a lot of fire for that company. Like, I think that this is a guy that definitely, yes, probably the company helps him get, different deals and everything. But the guy is like, he directs himself, and he makes his own possibilities, and he makes his own potentials. He is his own promoter, I would say. The one that promotes himself. He is a company walking. He is really good at promoting himself. He's very charming. He talks to the right people. If he has to do and goes out physical labor, he goes and do it. If he has to collaborate with people, he goes and presents himself. He's never tired. He never runs out of energy. It's just that I think that there's something that he has pendant with an institution, or he has pendant with, he has a desire of building his own empire or his own enterprise. There's something just that he's like, that's my goal. That's what I'm going. Or maybe he wants to create like his own business for other artists, for other young actors himself. So I see him that he's like very much fixated on this, and probably he's putting a lot of energy in this. He's been very like fixated on this. He's very excited about this. I would say that all his energy goes into this. He's probably going to get it. He's probably going to get it, but it feels like you are pushing it. You're pushing it. It's like his baby. He's like, I'm going to get it anyways. And also the 9 of Wands, resilience. He doesn't take a no for an answer. He's like, I don't care how much I have to wait. I want that building. There's something about the building. He wants a building. There's a specific building. And I think that maybe in the past, maybe he was scammed, or he was, someone sold him something and it wasn't, they stole money from him, or they just took his money and the building didn't exist actually. So this is why I'm like, he should be careful with this ambition of his, of having his own empire, or having his own, I don't know. I don't want to say office, but it's more like company. He wants his own company, and I think that definitely it's very. How can I say this? It's like, I say like he should take his time, but this is not a man that you tell him that he should stop, because he will not listen to you and he will not do it. So I see him that he's very, very passionate about this, and he's not going to stop. It's just that there's something, with what stands in his way, that maybe, he's putting a lot of energy into this, and he could lose potentially other opportunities, or he could lose something big because he's like only focusing like, oh, I'm going to go and see this building, and I'm going to work on this building, and I'm going to, and he probably is missing other opportunities. Also, maybe, because he's so, he's very ambitious, he's very much involved. I see him like very much like physically being there every day, like going to see it or something like this. That maybe, there's certain rules or regulations that, or there's a government or something that they are like they are looking at him. They're like, why are you so interested in buying this? They will not make it easy for him. But with the 9 of Wands, resilience, he's like, I know they don't want me to have it. I know they will find a way to destroy the possibility for me, but I will get it at the end. He's a fighter. Definitely, he's a fighter. So you don't tell no to Yoo Yeon Seok. He wants his empire and he's going to get it. He doesn't care. He's like, I'm going to make it. It doesn't matter how many times they say no to me. I will come back. I will come back. Yeah, Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords as an advice. Bravery. Knight of Swords. So who is going to say no to this man? He has his eyes on the ball already. He's like, I want that building. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to be a boss. I'm going to be my own boss. But he's not selfish. This is what I want to say. There's a lot of push. He's very insistent. He's very intense. But I think that there's something about him wanting to give back to his community, or maybe to his colleagues. He wants to provide like a safe institution, environment. This is why he's like, for him, it's not about money. It's about honor. It's about, being the head of an institution that can be something that he can be proud of. That he's like, okay, in here, I welcome talent, or I welcome, people that want to work, people that are so passionate as myself, but yeah, it takes a lot of bravery from him, because I think that there's a lot of people that don't want him to have it. So yeah. Now I'm reading you guys. Now I'm putting back the chat. Hello. Hello, everyone. Now I'm reading you. Let's see. I don't know why I thought that you said, let's be a couple. Let's be a trouble. No, I wouldn't be in a relationship with a man. Oh, he must be exhausting. Oh, he must be exhausting. Fun, but exhausting. Oh my God. It's like, can you sit down a bit, please? Can you sit down? Yes, couple, but with 3 people. Ah, Fluffy, Chauno, and me. No, I don't know. I wouldn't go for Chauno. No, Chauno is too chill. He's like too chill for me. No. I would go for, I don't know. Is there an Aries famous man that I like? I don't know. I don't think so. There's not like an Aries man that I like. I take the money only. I will be the cashier, she says, the accountant. Yeah. Is he still in the military? Yes, he is, right? Chauno? Mm. Ah, he only just started. Did some of you here watch Boyfriend on Demand, the Jesus series, Netflix series? I'm not going to spoil. But please tell me that someone watched it. He has been replaced by Rowan in the military series. I was like, is Rowan replaced in the military? How? Can they do that? Replace him in the military? I didn't read the military series. I had to watch it. Oh, wow. January the 27th. Wow. It's a long time. He'll be all right. No, I haven't it, but I wonder if it ever goes dark mirror style. No, Fluffy. I didn't want to say it in the chat because I don't want to spoil it for people, but no. It could have, but no. No, it has the potential. If you see it, it has the potential, but you know how it is. It's going to be K-drama-ish. But you know the thing that I noticed that I usually do when I'm a bit bored, or especially in the last episodes, that I didn't fast forward anything. Which is like an advance for me. Because I was like, Maybe, you know why I didn't fast forward any scene? Because there was so many cameos, there was so many like appearances that if you fast forward, you can lose potentially someone. So I think that that's why I kept watching. I didn't interrupt it. Yes, also having a break from the idol industry must be nice. It's really funny, Fluffy. It's really funny. That's the thing that I must say. I'm not a fan, I love thrillers. So I'm not, an expert, nor a fan of romantic comedies. I don't like romance like that. Um, Especially with a lot of cliches and everything. I find it like, oh my God. But, um, Jesus' character was very relatable in some parts. So I was like, it's like they make fun also of the same cliches. So it was very entertaining. It was very entertaining. It was beautiful, with a lot of AI also. Yeah, like visually, it was very eye catching. So yeah, yeah, it was very funny. Honestly, like like I think that there was a lot of I like Jesus acting. I think that she's really good at this kind of romantic comedies, kind of because she has that that sort of um, um, vibe. I don't want to say personality because I don't know her, but I think that she does better in this kind of romantic comedies than maybe more deep kind of. I don't know. She's an actress. She can change. Maybe in the near future she can change a thriller, and she's going to surprise me. So yeah, let the girl gain experience. Also, I think that probably the thing about Jisoo, because she's an idol, because she's so popular, she's part of Blackpink. People know a lot about her personality or about her as an idol. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of people talking about her. So the more you know about an actor or someone that is like acting in a movie, you tend to like be like, oh, because she's like this in real life, she's like this. And that's, and sometimes maybe for actors it's better that you don't know much about them, so then you can stay focused on the character that they're playing. And sometimes maybe for these idols that go into acting, when you know a lot about them or when you have a perception of who they could be, um, you translate that to when they are acting, and it takes a while for you to be able to separate. The boyfriend delivery, yes. um I honestly, I must say, I stayed because of the men. There were a lot of beautiful men. So, I was happy. I was pleased. I was like, yeah, this is what I want to watch. Mm. I don't know. I also saw her in that the omniscient reader. That movie I didn't like. Also, she had a few moments in that part. I didn't like that as well because there was no like development in her character. She just appeared. The movie also was very bad. So at least not my style, not what I would watch. Um, but yeah, other idols are doing well. Yeah, but I think that it takes time. Yesterday I started also watching that is on Netflix as well. That is a series. It's a K drama. Jin Young of GOT7. He's in there. Um, and it's really sweet. I am on episode 2. I believe it also has 10 episodes. I don't know. It's about, high school lovers, like high school through adults kind of lovers, the typical K-drama. The typical K-drama when, they go to university and they separate and then they meet again 10 years later or something like that, the usual. But he's really good at displaying emotions. There's something about Jeongyeon that I feel like there's something just very interesting about the way he looks at his co-star, at all the female co-stars that he had, that there's a sense of intensity, interest, like, and also sensitivity. He's a guy that I think that him to play like the romantic lead, especially someone that is complex in character, he has the ability to do that. There's something about him, like the more emotional he gets, is like the more convincing he gets. Uh, he's just a great actor. I have been observing him, and I didn't like some of the series that he was in. Especially, there was one where there was judges, and he was judges, and he was a lawyer. I didn't like that K drama, but I think that when he did that soul. Oh, I don't remember the name now. But the last K drama that he did, he also was very complex and very intense, and I think that he does great in those moments. I was watching him like last night, and I just wish they would stop showing, him playing like a teenager, like someone that goes to school, and then the adult version of himself, like, he doesn't look old at all, like he doesn't look his age at all. But I'm like, why do they do that? Like, Jin Young has an amazing face. The eyes, exactly, Chachalino, expressive eyes. Expressive and impressive. Yeah, it's the eyes. Yes, it's the eyes. And like it's very specific, because you can even see like the way he looks, like he's looking at someone, but when he looks at his co-star, the way he transforms, it feels like an emotion evades him, and it's very real, and you can really be like, oh, he's falling for her, or he's liking her, or he's paying attention to her, because there's something that moves inside of him, that it feels beautiful. Mm-hmm. Yes. He has a TV show called The Witch. Something. No, I didn't. The Witch. No, I didn't. Actually, I saw a movie that he was part in. That movie. That it was about superheroes. It was, I believe, it was called High Five. High Five, I think that it was, or the Five, or something like this. I think it was High Five. But can we say something? Like I was talking to my friend last night, because she also is a bit hesitant about watching it, because it's like, I don't know, I don't like her acting, that she feels for her the way she feels for Chao and Liu acting, I don't like them. They're too pretty, but I don't like them the way they act. And I was like, but you know what? Let's take it down to earth. Let's take it down to reality. Jisoo is the perfect one to play this, because she was dating An Bo-hyun, a beautiful K-drama actor, popular K-drama actor, potentially more good looking than all that we saw. Not good looking, but I think that you know what I mean. I think that he should have made an appearance. I think that Netflix should have, or whoever should have put money into this and have him at least like interact for like 5 seconds or a minute. But I think that that's all we can say about Jisoo. Jisoo is the winner of all of this because while people are thinking like, oh, she had a great chemistry with this actor or that actor or Jay Park or the other that appeared and the other one, she dated Ahn Bo-hyun. And I'm saying this personally because Ahn Bo-hyun is definitely my type of man, is definitely my type of man. But I understand if there's people that are like, well, there's more attractive, actors, more popular actors. I think that she was better with this actor than the other actor. Of course, of course. But we're talking about real life. I have to be honest. There's certain, actresses, idols, famous people that the relationships are revealed with men, and that you are like, she's more beautiful than him, or she's the like, she's like the charismatic one, and maybe the man is like, in my opinion. In her case, because she's gorgeous. Next to him, if you compare the two of them, you're like, that's a good match. That's like, when you're like, sometimes you're like, I would put, but this is something that I totally like. I don't know if maybe it's because we and me visually. I don't know. I always thought that Jisoo was a bit more like on the nerdy side, like more like an intellectual girl. So I would be like, she would go more for the soft guy, you know. And then we heard about Ahn Bo-hyun, and I was like, so you do you do use your eyes too, and you do appreciate beauty. Because for example, let's bring, now that I have Akira here, let's bring Jihyun of Twice. Jihyun, we've seen clips of her, I don't know Jihyun, but I've seen clips of her, and we know that she's very active. From what I've seen, she is great. She is someone that does everything. She has a very strong personality as well. So when she started dating this guy, the guy that is, I believe he's an Olympic winner, or the guy of the physical 100. When she started also dating this guy, I was like, I like it. I'm not, I don't know the guy, but I do like this sort of combination of a strong woman, like from what I perceive. I don't say that I know this people, but my perception of Jihyo, I wouldn't see her like I wouldn't want her, honestly. It's not that I wouldn't see her. I wouldn't want her to go for the sweet, cute guy. I would want her to go for a guy that matches her energy so they can be a team. You know? Because sometimes you can have a very handsome and strong guy, and he can be sweet inside as well. But I think that's something that about physicality, that I want the guy to be strong enough. It's not about muscles, but he has to have a certain presence. Because look at the woman that you have. You cannot go all around being all sad, all like, oh, what are my fans going to say about me dating you? And I'm like so sad because, my fans are going to, no, we don't want no cowards. I don't want cowards for my favorite K-pop female artist. I want strong men. I want men that is like, yes, I'm dating her, and so what? Something like this, something like this. I don't want weak men. I don't want men that hide. No, no comments. No comments. No, 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 no. My fans are my girlfriends. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It was a fling. It doesn't matter. But she got it. She got it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Not my type, but cute. They sort of like a spark in the eyes. Oh my god. They're a great match. The very fit athlete guy. I never saw a pic of him with a shirt on. She has been wearing his clothes lately, so seems like they're still together. I find that more often than not, partners look alike. Mm, have the same vibe. Yeah. Chihyo and Suno, can you imagine? They have been together for a while now. Wait. When Momo and Hecho were together, people said she was the alpha because she was a strong woman. I want for my girls in the K-pop, I want them to get, the men of their dreams, of course, a gentleman. This is not about like, oh, he has to be tall and he has to have a certain physique. No, it's not about that. I think that it's about um like I think that the industry is so harsh on women. We know this. We know this. Even if people that they support boy groups. I do feel it like there's people that they also support boy groups. So it's easier to critique a woman in the industry and be like, well, she's not that good in this. She's not that good in this. Yeah, but I just hope that they find a partner that is proud of them, a partner that can, proudly say, or it's not necessarily that they say it, but I think that is good enough also that they don't deny it, because if you if you you know if you match with someone that is full of fear, they are going to translate that fear into you and into the relationship. And you know that now, especially over there in South Korea, the thing about people are not getting married, people don't want to have children, there must be something going on. So I just want them to find brave partners, partners that support them, partners that stay with them. There's idols also, that very famous idols that have been in relationships for a very long time. Maybe the relationship, yes, it's not perfect, but they are there. It's acknowledged. Yeah, she's dating this person. Yeah, they don't talk about each other. They are not mentioning each other, all the time, but they are not denying each other neither. Because that when I think that it must be awful to be someone's secret, and especially in this industry where everything gets found out, and once it's out, it sort of gets destroyed. This is why they separate later, because it gets ruined. It gets ruined, you know. Now that I think about it, we need a Sana romantic reading update. She was still stuck on a somewhat toxic ex. Sana, let's see. Sana romantic update. Ace of Wands, Ten of Pentacles, Temperance, and Hierophant. And we have the Ace of Swords, new ideas. So yeah, her mind is open to new communications. New communications. I think that there's someone. It's just that this person is very new. Is very young, I would say. Like I know that it's not. I don't know how old, Sana is, but I don't think that it's about age. I think that maybe this person had just started working with her, or had just started working in the industry, or is like a rising star. Is someone that is just starting. The Page of Wands. It could be a fire sign. I don't know why I want to say like he just entered the company, because I see a Ten of Pentacles, so I'm like thinking about the company, JYP maybe, because I have the Hierophant as well, so it feels like he is in the same building as hers. He's slowly making his way up in his career. He's very passionate about this. Very passionate about this. Could be a mix of fire sign and earth sign as well, a mix of both. Because it's sort of, it calms her down, it's very healing, this relationship. It could be a bit of like they flirt, but they're also very formal with each other. With the Hierophant, I feel like there's a lot of people in the room, or there's a lot of people observing them, or there's a lot of things to do, work to do. So it feels like they have to, not get that ha ha ha, because people are watching. But the Ace of Clubs, new ideas. I think that at first she was like, oh, he's cute, because there's something about him looking a bit inexperienced, or him being the new guy. So she's like giving him she's like slowly like seeing him with, another eyes. I think that it doesn't feel like she has feelings for him already. No, she's starting to view him under another light. She's starting to think about him differently, because he's very hardworking. He's very hardworking. He's also very capable. He's very passionate but quiet. So he feels like he really wants to make a good impression on her, or helping her with certain work, or helping the company. So he's very hardworking, and I think that there's something about what he does that it sort of calms her anxiety down. That could be a bit of a bodyguard, something like this. but he's very attracted to her. Definitely, he's very blunt about like, oh, I like her. Well, who wouldn't like Sana, of course. But I think that he's also very respectful. This is why he follows orders, or But I think that there's compatibility here. It's just that there's a lot of, for now it feels very protocol, like, oh, like hello, 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 like very, very polite, very like, let's behave, we are in this building, let's behave. But I think that there's a spark here, there's a spark. She didn't see him like that, like, oh, he would be the one. But, he's starting to show her, with stability and maybe them spending more time together, she's starting to sort of accept that she will be around him for a long time. So, yeah. It's a non-idol. Yeah, no, it's not an idol. Yeah, it's not an idol. It's a man that works in there. It's a man with a task. It's a man that it's very formal. It's very formal. Probably it's new, but he's so excited to, do his part. He's very passionate. It does sound good. Yeah, because it sort of calms her down. It calms her down that maybe, they are getting to know each other in a safe space, in the sense that, this is where she goes or this is where she hangs out most of the time. So, for us, Capricorn, we don't like office romance. Of course, that we are like, no, we separate work and romance. But it's also very likely that love is when we work, because we're working all the time. So it can happen. It's just that we try to avoid it as much as we can, because we know how this would affect our image. So it's like, if we wanted to, we could have had, offices romances like all the time. But we are very selective about like, okay, is this person good for me? What is the reputation of this person? Does this person do this with others? We are a bit like, I don't know about Sana, but I in my case, I'm like, like, why are you interested in me? Like, why? Who are you? Like, I sort of do also a background check, like, are you married? Like, because I don't like to play houses while I'm working, because no, it affects my productivity. And also I don't like people to know like who I'm dating, because yeah, if I'm dating someone that I'm working with, I don't say anything. Yes, a lot of couples meet at work is kind of hard to. Yeah, but I also had, this is very interesting because I also had, in my experiences, I also had like coworkers or colleagues that they are like, oh, I'm interested in you, and this and this. I have been, interested in you for a very long time, but they also have been in relationships. So it's like, oh, because my relationship, is not that happy, I'm not happy, and and it feels like they take work as a sort of playground, to avoid the reality or the routine. That the routine is that they have a girlfriend, a partner at home, and then, while they're at work, they sort of like they feel like you can be like their girlfriend at work, and for me it's not like that. For me it's no, 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 I don't like it. I don't like it because I seen it, certain wives and partners, coming to the company to look for the mistress or to look for the other woman at work, that they found out or they found messages, and I'm like, no, that's not going to be me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, no. Also, they love to gossip. They love to gossip. They love like, oh, do you know this person? Do you know this? Do you have their number? no. It's like it's literally children. It's children. It's like they find a certain thrill and excitement in maybe not getting caught or something. But I see the pattern. There's especially certain men that if it's like a industry that is mostly like I have been in companies where we were like the 70% we were all women, so they had this, the men, in these sort of places, they're like, yeah, there's a lot for us. So, we can try with this one and then you go with this one, and no, I'm sorry. Yeah, my coworkers are like family. Yes, for me, it's like this. I can have very profound friendships with them, but love, no, no, love, no, no. I had skipped a lot of advances. I have done it very, very well. I have sort of dodged the bullet very well because I know I can smell them. Like they're so predictable that I'm like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. You're telling me that your relationship is doomed, that you had a fight, that she doesn't understand you, that and I don't know. Like I can listen and be like, oh, that's sad. I understand. I'm sure you must feel awful. There were times where I would actually advise them, like, well, can you talk to them, give them advices, but never from a place of like you should leave her, or no, no, no. I can be like a sort of female perspective about like, look, but maybe if because men tend to confide in me. They tend to tell me their problems. Like I'm having problem expressing this with my partner. I have these issues. I'm like, okay, if you want answers or if you want me to help you, I give you my perspective. But I'm not buying the I'm such a good companion and my partner is so lazy. No, no. Relationships are 50-50. If she's lazy, it's because you are doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. Mm. Working with mostly women can be tough. I was so happy. Yes, I started a new job recently and working mainly with women. I prefer this way. I think very reassuring environment. With mature women, yes. Mature women also start the gossip, yes. Yeah, I think that if there's a balance, yes, I think that it's just that we women we really work. It doesn't matter if we have differences. We always at the end we get together to get better results. When it comes to men, some men, if they can be your best friend, and once they get promoted, they forget about you, or if they want to get a sort of project out, then they start like getting all like bossy with you, and I don't do that. I had issues with men at the workplace, and they also can be very gossipy. They can be even worse than women. I seen it. I heard it. I was like, yeah, that's how you really think about women. Like in my case, with me, they were very respectful, but I seen certain comments about other women, especially other women's appearances. Oh, she dresses like this, or she must be like this. So I was like, oh, so that's your real view of women. Okay, I understand. So yeah, never trust them. Never trust them. And I never laugh at the jokes. I don't find it cute. Mm-hmm. Mm. Just that it's very tough. I was thinking, yesterday, um, watching, Jesus K drama, that is not far from reality. And actually, I was seeing, some people that do like these K drama reviews on TikTok. They have these small clips, and there were people that were making this sort of funny TikTok where they were like, "Oh well, if I was in Jesus in that K drama, I would also buy that device to get connected to the subscription of Boyfriend on Demand, so I could live my fantasies." With handsome men. And I think that that's also, just like we were mentioning, Fluffy was mentioning something about, Black Mirror. And I think that this that we see with Jesus, Boyfriend on Demand, um possibly is not that far away from us. That sort of like probably is already made. It's just that, maybe it's not accessible for everyone, but I think that we, in order to escape reality or bad relationships, bad breakups, just, not being satisfied with our dating life, we could turn into these things that, yes, they are very, very like intuitive in the sense that they get exactly what you need, and they are like, okay, we will give you the dream guy, so you can spend hours and hours connecting to this thing, and you can pay, you can use all your money to pay the subscription to be immersed in this virtual reality. And it's very sad. It's very sad because I think that there's, and even if you think about it, sometimes, it doesn't have to be connected to a device. Watching K dramas or watching, just like our grandmas or our mothers used to watch like telenovelas or soap operas. It's the same. It's a way of you looking for romance elsewhere because you probably don't have it in your 20-year relationship with your husband or 10-year relationships with your boyfriend, you know. So you have to get imagination, you have to get inspiration from other sources. But I think that now is more critical because we don't even date. We don't even start dating, we lose hope right away. Um, is really hard. I don't know. I think that I noticed this on myself, but also on other women my age, that there are women my age or younger that they told me that they never dated, they never had a relationship, um, and and I, in my case, I did, and they were long relationships and they were romantic and everything, but it was a long time ago. So now it feels like the relationships don't last that long. The disappointment arrives very, very soon. So I think that it sort of put us all in the same category. It doesn't matter if you were married or if you had relationships or if you didn't have relationships. The feeling of today in some women is of extremely loneliness. And then you are presented with these sort of fictional characters, these men on the screen that they look perfect and they look flawless and everything. But then you hear stories, then later, when year passes, you hear stories about, their former girlfriends or their past partners or their wives, and they were not that cute, like the character that you saw. So that's why we don't have to idealize anyone. But I think that there's a part of us that we want the fantasy. We want the fantasy and the men and the women, from both sides, we want the fantasy, but at the same time, there's this dissolution of like, oh, time passes and you are not what I thought you were. I thought that you were something else. I projected my needs on you, and you turn out to not be that person. So it's challenging. It's challenging. So it's. I think that's why it's so addictive when you get to in this virtual world or fantasy world, because the characters always remain the same. They're always in love with you. They're always romantic. They're always doing things for you. They don't lie. They don't cheat. So yeah. Mm. They also have rental services for boyfriend in Japan. Mhm. At the end of the day, it's a choice, and I think if you listen to people online who talk about men being bad, relationships being impossible, it can start to reflect your own world as well. One of the issues with social media, the thinking of getting better because we see perfect people on the internet, a dangerous trap. Mm. It's sad for people who really want to find love, but people should only learn to be alone before forcing or faking something. Isn't that normal after coming out of the honeymoon phase when you start to see your partner for the first time as a true person? They are. Yeah, I don't know. I remember it's really funny that you talk about the honeymoon phase, because I had a boyfriend a long time ago, and I believe we were dating for like 8, 9 months. He mentioned it about the honeymoon phase, he's like, is it supposed to be like we are supposed to like somehow just not um you know not idealize each other anymore, because I feel like I still am in this honeymoon phase with you. Like I feel like I still have all these you know like wow moments with you. And I remember I told him that for me, I didn't feel it like I remember I heard about the honeymoon. We were over young, but I remember I told him about the honeymoon phase. Like I read somewhere about this, that it was supposed to last, I don't know, the first 3 months of you dating. And I remember I told him I didn't believe in that. Like, I mean, from what I felt and from what he felt, we felt like we were still immersed in that honeymoon phase. Like, and I think that it lasted like a year. A year. Like we would always like, I don't know, but because he was sensitive like this and I also was sensitive like this, we would create our own bubble, and we would. It's not about you seeing the person that, oh, you're perfect, but it's about you appreciating the person, and you also, I guess, because we are very complex, we have different sides of ourselves, so there's a bit of surprise, like, oh, you're more than this. Yeah, I'm more than this. um and I think that it's more than it's a feeling. It's a different feeling. It's not about like, oh, because you took me out to have dinner or have fancy restaurants, or we had these experiences where in the 3 months we had fun, and now everything is going back to routine. No, I think that we build a sort of dynamic of being very into each other, and also just realizing how when we work together there was this desire of getting to know each other more and more, and how the relationship would change. The intensity would change as well, but it was like very fun, and it was very us. It was something that maybe if you look at us like from the perspective of someone that, oh, they're dating, we would look like a normal couple. But when we worked together, there was a sense of magic, I would say, of um, you know, I'm really at awe at you because you are so interesting to me and I want to get to know you better and I never get tired. This is the thing that I also, this is why I'm picky with the people that I like or that I start dating, because I don't get bored of the person that I like. If I like someone, I have to like that person a lot. I go all in. I cannot be like, yeah, I like this, but this I don't like. No, I have to feel like I could, have this with you forever and I will not get tired. But I'm also very creative. I'm also very changeable. I have great communication also with my partners. It's essential. So it's not just about like, oh, we are sensitive. No, we talk about, how do you make me feel? How do I make you feel? And it was a great experience, to also have, uh, partners that they were like, oh, this is how I feel about you, and it's not, I think that it's, um, I remember I told, we were talking with a friend and there was a girl in there that she was like a sort of astrologer as well. And she was like making fun of like, oh, but what do you do to them? Do you bewitch them? Like, do you put a spell on them? Like, oh, you're so special. You think that you're so magical. This is why like you have these kind of connections. And I'm like, no, it's just what I had, with the person. Yeah. Did it less? No, but I can say from my experience that this sort of connection is what I had and what we felt, and that no one had to come to us and be like, guys, this is how relationship goes. We would exchange our opinions about how we felt while being in the connection, um, and and just being very expressive about this, and also being very intimate, being very um deep, and just being like, wow, this is cool. All this that you're telling me is very interesting. I never felt like this, or no one ever said this to me, that I had this. So maybe I think that probably for some people, maybe they don't talk to their partners, or they don't get that close to their partners. But for me, I always had those moments where, I didn't have to find out anything. We would just talk, we would just express to each other how we felt. And I think that that's also part of intimacy, more than just having sex. I think that talking, and sharing experiences and perceptions also was a way of, you know, connection. That it's not like, oh, we get together, we talk about the weather, and then, we go to sleep. No, it was having these deep conversations. And I don't think that I'm like, oh, this is a special person, because if I was this special person, I would be with the same person still, or I would be with someone else still. And no, I have my flaws. But talking about the first year, the first months, it built a really nice chemistry. It's a make it or break it point in many cases. Isn't actually more of a year. Yeah, for me, it's like a year and a half. It can be longer. My friend just came out with his face after 3 years. Is now facing a big shock. For me, I don't feel it. There's no honeymoon phase, just because I never. I idealize the guy, but I fall really rarely, but really hard, and it lasts pretty much forever. Well, that's important. Yes, that you fall hard. Yes. Mm-hmm. Even past boyfriends, the ones that were really more, even though I have moved on, and it's not like I'm stuck with them, I still love them. They are in my pattern of great loves in a way. Of course, because they taught you how to love. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. We should all like, um, um I think that also is great because they see something in you. They see something in you, um, and that's interesting. That's very valuable. That they choose in you. It doesn't matter how much you work with them. But I think that um, also for me, presence it's is a perfect sign of like that person really cares for me or that person really loves me. The person that stays by my side, the person that stays. When I was very young and inexperienced, like, oh, I'm threatening to leave you or I'm threatening to break up with you. And I have very childish boyfriends that they would leave me, they would leave me, and I would leave them, and we would just then go back and just being very dramatic. But because we were so emotional, we were so young and so full of emotions that we really wanted to fight each other. We really wanted to dominate the other. So how do I do this? I manipulate you. But I think that now that I'm older, and I think that I noticed that the person that wants to be with me, they're going to stay. They're going to stay. No matter what I say or what I express or what I don't express, they're going to be, by my side. And I think that that's a great sign of um, fidelity. Fidelity. And it's just that like we were talking about when I was talking about the female idols, that for me, I wish for them, and I think that for all women in general, to have lovers that can be proud of being with them, like lovers that can sort of like be like, yes, I'm with her. Yes, she is my person. Yes, we are still together. No secret, no like, oh, well, I don't talk about this. No, just someone that can be brave. I think that we need more brave companions. We need brave companions. It's not about the money, it's not about how much you make or status. I think that is about someone that is brave enough to stay by your side in the good and the bad. So, someone that is just like, that just cannot be with you, or they cannot defend you, or they cannot stand up for you. I think that is dangerous. Yeah, it's dangerous. It's dangerous to follow the lead of someone that yeah, makes all these promises, but at the end they are not there for you. Because yes, we know that women get the backlash, the hardest, the hardest. Um, is for the famous women and for us regular women. Sometimes you even have like people in your family or people in your circle, other women that they don't want this for you. They would prefer for you either to stay single or to stay in a relationship that is not good for you. And I think that is better to always think about what makes you, feel better, be a better version of yourself. Um, that you don't feel guilty for being with someone, that you don't feel it like a chore, like, oh my God, I have to put up with this person. Um, just also give them a room to court you, to conquer you. Give them a room to prove that they really want to be with you. Give them room to do things for you. Give them room. Give them room to treat you right, to help you, to make dinner, to help you with the groceries, to help you fix your car. Give them room to be helpful, to be useful. Like, don't try to be like, no, I got this because I'm independent. No, give them the room. Give them room. Okay, guys, this was great. I have to go. I'm so happy that we didn't get disconnected. I didn't get disconnected specifically for while doing the readings. This is why I was so much in hurry. Later, I'm going to, try to rewatch so I can read your comments because I didn't catch your conversation. Um, yes, thank you so much, guys, for all the recommendations. Thank you. I had a lot of fun doing this. Thank you for the idea of, this series was dancing their way. I think that it was very sweet. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this. So yeah, I will see you on Wednesday. Let's see what idea I come up with Wednesday. Or if I don't have any ideas, I will ask you on the Discord what to do, because again, I also have a busy week. But yeah, any kind of suggestion that you have, you can leave it also on Discord. And so it can help me, like, okay, what new series do I do? But yes, thank you so much, guys, and happy Women's Day today. Um, I hope that you have like a great day, a great year, a great life. And yeah, let's keep supporting each other. That's what matters the most. Bye.